welcome to Sports Bar. I'm your host, Travis Stanley, with your panelists, Braxton, Greg, and Jack. We're glad you've joined us for another episode. And right now we're going to jump into some local athletics. And local athletics for us means App State versus UL Lafayette for this coming Wednesday. That game is going to be played at Lafayette. It'll be on ESPN2. I believe the kick is either 8 or 8:30. Check your local listings for the exact time. But previewing this game, guys, so far Lafayette, we obviously know what Appalachian's been able to do, but Lafayette so far this season comes in 2-3. They're 1-1 in the league right now, which is frankly looking kind of weak, weaker than it has in the past few years. And leading their squad has definitely been the offense, their quarterback Jennings, the LSU transfer, and Elijah McGuire. What do you guys see out of that squad, Braxton?
Well, the coach has been stressing this past week they really need this game. And that's obviously you want every game you play, but and he says that as well. But for this game, he's bringing up three main reasons they need this one. First of all, if you take this back to 2 years ago in 2014, App State, their first year in the Sun Belt, they go to Lafayette and they knock them off. At that point, they had won 6 games in a row. And they had looked like they were really going for a bowl win, and they actually did get a bowl win that year, but that really kind of took them a stride back in the wrong direction. They were going in the right direction, and ever since that game, at that point they just fallen off. They've kind of been stuck for some reason. I'm not sure why, but he always brings that back to that game.
Well, for Lafayette, they continually go to the New Orleans Bowl, which, I mean, yes, going to a bowl is a victory. But if you continually go to the same bowl, it's right there in your backyard. Jack, how would you handle that situation? For me personally, it would get old and mundane.
Yeah, I feel like that's not a good situation to be in as a football program. As a program, you always want to be moving forward and try and get bigger and bigger. Obviously, they want to try and win the Sun Belt. They don't want to keep going back to the same bowl every year. So as a coach, you want to motivate your team to try and do better and try and maybe go to a different bowl. Maybe go to the Camellia Bowl. I know it's one of the bowls that's associated with the Sun Belt. But to do that, you have to do well in the Sun Belt. You have to win the league. And so we'll see with this game right here. It's definitely a big one for them. We're talking about the quarterback. He's played well this season, thrown about 8 touchdowns. But with those 8 touchdowns, he's also had about 6 interceptions. So we'll have to see, with his play going against, App State secondary that played well in the last game. So we'll see how Clifton Duck and company does in this next game.
Yeah, Jennings definitely has that gunslinger mentality. So with high risk comes high reward, but we'll see how that plays out. But Greg, what might you see out of this game as far as predictions and how it might play out?
I've got to give App an edge here. Statistics aren't everything. You got to know the strengths and weaknesses of individual teams. But you look at the stats for this game. App rushes for more yards. App gets more first downs. App holds possession of the ball an average of 10 minutes more per game. That's almost an entire quarter.
Yeah.
So, you start looking at that and you put those statistics in context. App has been playing some pretty substantial teams this year. So I don't see Lafayette moving forward from this one.
Yeah.
Now, they do have a pretty strong run defense. They played Tulane earlier this year and did a pretty good job against their run as well. They're a pretty run-oriented offense like App State is. So they have a good perspective in that sense. But like kind of Greg said, I kind of hint on the same thing. Louisiana Lafayette needs the game, but I just don't see them taking this one from out.
Tulane's coach being the former Georgia Southern coach, obviously them running a triple option offense. He definitely has a large background in running the ball. But Jack, your preview for this game?
I definitely think App is going to pull away with this one. With a team that's more defensive oriented towards running the ball, we'll maybe look for Taylor Lamb to step up, have a good game passing the ball. But I think Jalen Moore, we've seen him come out and shine against teams in the past. I think we'll have another good game on his hands.
I agree with all of you. I think we'll have probably Apps by like 3 scores or so. Probably possibly a sluggish start. They didn't play very well against Georgia State, but hopefully they'll come out with their pants on fire and play a lot better than they did against Georgia State. Moving on to another university sport, men's soccer. They played Presbyterian in a double overtime tie last Tuesday, and then they followed that tie up with a 2-0 win against Howard this past Saturday. Braxton, you were at the Presbyterian game. What have you kind of seen out of the men's soccer team so far this year?
They actually have a really nice program. It's one thing that we don't always look at for as far as App State, but the soccer team looks pretty nice. I've been to that. I've been to 2 games now. The Presbyterian and another one. And at the Presbyterian game, they really deserved to win that game. They had the ball on their side of the field for much of the second half. It's just a lot of times it seemed to me like every time there was a 50-50 ball that was in the air that needed to be headed in favor of App State, they almost always lost the header. And headers are not always seemed as a big factor in a soccer game, but this one there were a ton of headers, at least 10 or 15.
50-50 balls are definitely.
Yeah, 50-50 for sure, but headers not so much. But this game there was a lot of headers that App State really needed to win to get the win, but they didn't. But they have a good program. Howard's really not up to the task of beating App State. Midfield, App State's really strong. Got some good players in there that can really move the offense in the right direction. They've got a good defense as well.
Yeah. If you can control the midfield for the most part in soccer, you can control the pace and dictate that game. Because if you're containing the opponent to one side of the field, you can just hit them with that mirage of wingers down the sideline and balls into the box. And for me personally, the men's soccer program really impressed me when they hosted the Sun Belt tournament. Was it, I guess, two years ago now, or last year? I honestly can't remember. My memory fails me. But just watching them play in that tournament, and also I don't think a lot of people even realize the squads that are in the Sun Belt when it comes to soccer. I mean,
Right.
we play in New Jersey Technical Institute in soccer, which we don't play in anything else to my knowledge. Hardwick. We don't play them in anything else. So it's a small soccer conference we play in, but one I feel like is very competitive,
Oh, yeah,
and
for sure.
I think that program's going in the right direction. But we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have a sneak peek of the new Rise video, national sports, and more.
This new mom is struggling to get the skates just right. Now she's holding on for dear life.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of siblings in foster care will take you just as you are.
Welcome back to Sports Bar. We're moving on to our Mountaineer Spotlight. We wanted to highlight a new face of club sports, men's volleyball. This is a team only second in its only second season and seems to be doing well for themselves so far. Riley Hutchinson has the latest.
The men's club volleyball team is starting its first season as an official club sport. With a home tournament coming up in November, an away tournament this past weekend, and practices twice a week, the team anticipates a great season. We talked to founding president Tom Arnold, current president Zachary Blackmore, and club sports representative Javon Oliver.
What's your name and what on earth do you have to do with men's club volleyball?
Okay, so my name is Tom Arnold, and I actually was the founding president for the men's club volleyball team here at Appalachian. 2 summers ago, it started out as an idea with 2 of the former women's club volleyball players. They told me, hey, you're pretty good, there's a good group of guys here, you should definitely look into doing something.
How do we get to the point where we are right now of you being an official club team?
Well, that was definitely the hardest part. At first, it really was just me. I went to the club expo, and that's where I met. I think I got 45 names, but only 6 or 7 stuck. From those 6 or 7, it was kind of word of mouth last year. We went through a lot of petitioning. First, it was club council, because we had to be a recognized club on campus, and then we had to go through club sports, which is also a little bit more rigorous, and it was a year-long process. At the end of last year, I believe it was the beginning or the end of April, we were designated in as an official club sports team. So this year we do represent the university club sports programs, and we're looking forward to growing. This year we do have 2 teams. Last year we only had 1. Hopefully next year we'll have 3. So
we have enough for about 2 teams, almost 3, about 22 people if I had to give or take. There's a lot of work trying to recruit because we only had 8 people last year, so all the work that usually an organization does was compact into 8 people who had to spread the word around the whole entire campus. We went to all these meetings just to try to get everything set to have these people, and now we have them. It's a little bit more difficult organizing 22 guys versus 8 guys, but it's definitely working all right. Now they could help us out with all that stuff. They're starting to make their own little mesh over there, so it's working out very well.
What has been your favorite part about being on men's club volleyball?
Oh, that's my favorite question. Well, I love playing volleyball, but what I think is more important than the volleyball we're playing is the people we get to play it with, and more importantly, how, because we're a good group of guys who love to hang out with each other, we have an opportunity to help the community around us, be that with our school or Boone as a community. We have all these opportunities for community service, to go out there and be a team on and off the court.
Y'all are hosting a tournament in November. What does that look like?
So right now we're super excited. We have about 5 teams signed up right now. We're going to be hosting a home tournament. It's going to be a great chance for us to get our names out on campus because we are new, so a lot of people still don't know that we are here. It's also a great fundraising opportunity for us to bring in some funds for the program, because that is a big struggle right now as a new club team, is getting those funds and being able to operate.
Of course, and the last question I have is, what are y'all's plans in terms of nationals this year?
So we're highly anticipating nationals again this spring. It'll be midway in April. We're going to go all the way out to Kansas City, Missouri. We made it to the quarterfinals in our division of our first time at nationals last spring, so we're anticipating a lot more success again this year.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Zach. Look forward to seeing what the team's going to do this year.
No problem. Thanks.
Now we're going to go take a sneak peek of the new Rise episode. Remember, you can catch the full episode right here on App TV and at appstatesports.com. Take a look.
So we are on our way down to Holmes Convocation Center to check on to see if we got a couple athletes in class. We do class checks to make sure our athletes are in class. We check all our freshman scholarships, and any athlete that has under a 2.5 GPA to make sure they're going to class, because obviously to make good grades you got to be there. Coach Mike checks on Mondays. Then me, John Mark, and Andrew check on, there's Jalen Virgil right there. We got that one checked. He's going to class. Then me, John Mark, and Andrew Blaylock check on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a spot check on Friday. And there's Marcus. We got him going to class. Hey, we're videotaping my class check today to make sure you're actually there.
Oh, wow.
You think Dante will like this?
Yeah, I'm definitely here.
Good, good, good. Glad you're coming. Hello, sir. Check Boomer right here in 15B. I'm sure that professor loved me doing that. Pretty much teachers have learned that what we're doing now, so they're used to seeing us pop our head into classes and stuff like that just to make sure kids are there. What's up, Nate? How are you? Right there, 1, 2, 3, all of them right there. And there's Newsel. There's Brody ducking. Where are you going, Brody? There you go. Looking for Jaquil. There's Jaquil. Here's BP. Everybody was there, which is a good thing. And we don't have to deal with punishment and arguments of where they were at. Makes life a lot easier.
We're going to go take a quick break, and when we come back, the National Sports Hour Fantasy Football League updates and more. We'll be right back.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play more. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
Welcome back to Sports Bar. Time to turn to national sports. And guys, first we're going to talk about the Major League Baseball, the playoffs right now. So far, the Cubs have played great. The Jays have already won their series. So, what do we see so far out of baseball up to this point, and going forward? What do you think we'll see?
Well, first of all, it seems to me like me and Sam's prediction from last week is kind of off. We predicted the Red Sox to win it all this year, but down 2-0, they're never really out of it in baseball, but
Yeah.
it's not looking so good for that. But as far as perspective on what we think might happen, right now the Blue Jays do look really nice. They took care of the Rangers in just
quick
3
fashion.
games. Oh yeah, very easily. And then for the National League side, I would say the Cubs are better than expected. I always kind of doubted them in some way, but man, I kind of look silly for going against them right now because the Cubs, they've got it going.
We were talking about in previous episodes how that, 100-game winner, season's really long, you might get worn down, but you're totally right.
Yeah, their pitching
so
staff,
far, we
their
have
offense
not,
has been unstoppable.
Yeah, we have not seen that out of them. And the Indians have looked terrific so far in the 2 games that they played against the Red Sox. Rained out yesterday's game, but Jack, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think what we've seen so far is that the Red Sox have kind of lost their power in their hitting stance. Obviously, not hitting the ball as well. And also, their bullpen wasn't as strong as we thought it was. David Price came out, still has not won a playoff game in his career. Came out, got clobbered by the Indians. Obviously, not what they were expecting. But we also see how legitimate the Cubs are. They're coming out in games. They're hitting very well. Their bullpen is one of the strongest ones in the playoffs right now. And I really do think the Cubs have the best chance to go and win it all this year.
And I think it's interesting how David Price struggles in the playoffs. Kershaw seems to struggle in the playoffs. Max Scherzer seems to struggle in the playoffs. All these great all-star pitchers always struggling in the playoffs. I don't know why that is. I need to look into that more. But Bumgarner is always one of the best. But for some reason, these top other 4 or 5 just never seem to. That's interesting to me.
And that always plays, into how we perceive some of these pitchers too. Up to a point, particularly when you're, younger, if you have a lot of regular season success, your postseason woes are somewhat overlooked to a degree. But when you get to that middle part of your career, particularly the latter end of your career, and you still haven't had postseason success, even if you have every regular season record there is, we say that across all sports. For these guys, I hope they get it straightened out because it would be a shame for their talent to be looked at, one day down the road as, well, they were terrific, but, you don't want that qualifier
Yeah,
in
and
there.
these teams are paying big bucks for these guys.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're getting great regular seasons, but when it really counts in the playoffs, they seem to always just have one inning that throws off the whole game. And they pitch well until that one inning, and somehow all the teams always get to them.
Yeah. Greg, anything that you've seen out of the playoffs so far that really stands out to you?
Well, I didn't want to rub it in, but I was right on about the Cubs. They've been dominating. Nationals, it's breaking my heart. They're not looking too good. I sort of figured that would be the case too. So I don't like to rub it in, but I think,
you've actually been in the profession before.
So yeah, I guess I have,
Got a little more experience than we do. So we have some things we need to learn from Greg here.
Yeah. Well, so far the playoffs have been very exciting in my mind, and we'll see how things turn out for the rest of the baseball season. But moving to the NFL, and I wanted to talk surprises so far of the NFL season. The Falcons have certainly came out and been a surprise to me. They're 4-1. The Vikings are 5-0. Without Teddy Bridgewater, without AP. Those teams surprise to you guys, and then other surprise teams that have stood out to you?
I thought for sure someone would be able to hold Julio Jones down. It seems like any game they play, no one can hold that guy down. He's just all over the field.
Even in double coverage, I mean, you think that you take someone else, you take him away, someone else is left open, but it really hasn't mattered, and that's insane, Jack.
I think along with the Vikings, the biggest surprise is that they are doing well, but I think what we've seen is Zimmer has had woes on offense where he's lost his starting quarterback, he lost his starting running back, one of their tackles has been out. But what he's done is he's relied on his defense, which is what he's known for, and they've just come out and been the most dominant defense in the league so far. I think my other biggest surprise, and I know some people might not like this, but I'm actually surprised about the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, you took my point.
Coming into it with a rookie quarterback, not drafted very high, coming out of an SEC school, has played extremely well, had his first turnover the other day on a sack, fumble, not what we were expecting, but he's come out, Dak Prescott has come out, he's played very well, he's done what the coaches have asked for him, and then Ezekiel Elliott just having a heyday running behind that awesome offensive line. So I really think the Cowboys are the biggest surprise so far.
I've got to stop leaving my notes on the desk. Jack is clearly reading what I'm trying to say here. But anyway, as far as surprises go, the Vikings are kind of a shock. The Falcons, even though last year they were 5-0 and there's a collapse from there, we didn't expect this from them, especially beating the Broncos in Denver. That was a shock. But it's always funny to me, and this is true for every sport. When it comes into a new season, it's this way every year. It's always new, and there's new teams that surprise us every single time. We never see it coming, and it's just seasons don't translate to the next season. The teams are never the same. Off seasons do big things as far as players go, coaching changes, stuff like that. It always changes the perspective of teams, and we never see it coming. We should, but we don't. But these teams are kind of surprising, and it's really awesome to see some of these teams that haven't played well in a while playing better football.
Yeah, certainly all of those teams have been a surprise. To me, my biggest surprise was the Fighting Rob Gelbers, the Philadelphia Eagles. Rob Gelbers, our producer, and specifically their quarterback Carson Wentz. He's played lights out. I mean, I know they didn't win against Detroit, but for the most part, they have played exceptional. Their defense has been monstrous.
Well, you got to give it to the coaching staff as well for the Eagles. They've put him in great positions to win. They haven't made him throw in between the numbers too often. They haven't called plays that he's not accustomed to yet. The coaching staff for the Eagles, I think they deserve a big pat on the back. They've done a great job with Wentz to this point in the season, and really it's showing.
And cultivating young talent is very hard to do in the NFL, and really any sport, but particularly at the quarterback position. So we'll see how all of those guys' careers shake out further this season, and obviously past that. But moving on from real football to fantasy football, for me personally, I was saying before the show, it's been the kind of week that you just don't want to have, because I was saying that I've been fallen victim to set it and forget it, and then it didn't really hit me until about midday on Sunday that I should have done that kind of thing.
We've all been there once or twice.
Exactly. Yeah. But we'll go ahead and move on to the fantasy football scoreboard. And taking a look at this, Team Witten, it's a rough week right now. He's playing Greg, 104-40. So I don't know if he'll be able to mount a comeback in that one.
Somebody needs to call this up. That's 2 weeks in a row he's done this.
Exactly.
It's like he's throwing games. Are you paying him off, Greg?
Joey's somewhat in the same boat with Jack. Jack, on the other hand, has had an absolute terrific week, and so has Sam, for that matter. So Jack looks like he'll be in for a very easy win. I myself, I'm going to say that I have an outside chance, but Rob still has Benjamin to play, and I only have a tight end. And then, like I said, Sam is beating up right now on producer Carlin. But going to the individual matchups, we'll take a further look at these games. And this is my matchup against Rob. Like I said, I have Bate, the tight end for Tampa Bay, left to play. Decker, that was just my fault. I knew he wasn't going to play. Didn't even get around to that. And then for me, beyond that, Williams coming up with nothing hurt. Duke Johnson only having 2 points. That definitely hurt. McCoy came through, had 15. But guys, I mean, I hate to even hate on myself here, but I really don't think I'll be able to make up these points with the fact that Rob has Kelvin Benjamin. What do you think?
I don't see you getting really close to pulling out the victory. It looks like you need to play the waiver game a little bit.
Yeah.
Check out some more players.
Yeah, I do, and just be more attentive. I was saying I feel like I really let myself down and let the team down.
Yeah, as the host of the show, you need to keep up with the fantasy team here.
I know. I need to do a better job. But
it's a game every week, though.
Well, hey, we'll see. There's an outside chance tonight, and we'll see how that goes. But we'll move on to the next matchup here. And this is Greg's and Adam Witten's. And Greg, this is really just a story of you having a good week. Adam Witten, we need to maybe get on that and see what's going on. But just looking specifically at the guys you have playing this week, who's impressed you?
Well, I mean, Hilton definitely pulled in well for me. Johnson obviously did a great job. Manning, I don't know what happened this week with Manning, but yeah, that was pretty rough. Normally I'd have Breeze in there. Breeze was on bye week. I was honestly sort of expecting another experience like playing Joey, where someone said it and then they just dominate me.
Yeah.
So this, I think I lucked out this week.
Yeah. So definitely an easy win, and we'll see what next week holds. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. And this is Sam and Carlin, neither of which are here to speak for themselves. But Sam has certainly played well in this game, and he was 1-3 coming into this game, so he definitely needed this win. Carlin, on the other hand, was 3-1. So me and her will be locked up both at 3-2, most likely at the end of this week. But what do we see out of Sam's team, particularly, that has allowed him to be so successful?
Well, early on in the draft, Sam said that he was going to take Tom Brady, regardless of whether he was suspended or not. And this is the first week that he has been allowed to start Tom Brady, and it really paid off for him.
It definitely did.
29 points, just a great week. DeMarco Murray,
and didn't even play the whole
points.
game.
I mean, it's just, and he's got Gronk back too. I know he was excited about that. So just a really good week for all of Sam's Patriots players.
I mean, even 23 points out of Vinatieri. I mean, if you get 23 points out of your kicker, you're having a good week. You're probably going to win. You're probably going to win, even if
he's 43 years old.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's the ageless wonder, and most of those kickers are. Quite frankly, you have to have that longevity. But definitely looks like he'll wrap it up and improve to 3-2 on the season. And then moving on to the last matchup here. And this is Jack and Joey, and we already kind of mentioned Jack's kind of in the same situation as Adam here. Kind of got to get on the horse and find out what he's doing with his roster. But
what roster?
But beyond that, Jack, again, what do you think you've done right this week? I mean, it looks like you're in for a monster week.
Yeah.
You could break 140.
That's what I'm really hoping for.
Yeah, because you still have Greg Olsen to play as well as the Panthers D. And they're matched up against the Bucs tonight, so possibly
Derek Anderson will be playing quarterback. Most of the time when your backup's in, your tight end gets a lot of touches, and especially when the tight end is the best in the league. So hopefully Greg Olsen will get a lot of catches tonight.
Well, you're calling Greg Olsen better than Rob Gronkowski?
I would say, as of right now, in the fantasy part of it, Greg Olsen is the best tight end in the league as far as fantasy points. But I'm just saying that as far as our fantasy league goes. But, I mean, Derek Carr, I've praised him. I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks here in the coming years in the league. He's really starting to shine. Came out, played a great game. Ezekiel Elliott obviously had a monster week. So, I mean, I'm just happy with the team I've got now. Really getting comfortable in my lineup.
My favorite part about your team is your image for your fantasy football team. I know it's not it is up there. You can't really see it. But for those of you at home, that says Dak to the future, and it's a photoshopped picture of Dak Prescott, and he's like in fire and stuff. I think it's really cool. As someone who really enjoys Back to the Future, Dak to the Future is a good play on words.
You know, I should probably have him on my team, given that he is in the name. But
well,
yeah.
I mean,
it's heavy.
It's what it is. You have to make smart fantasy choices, right?
Exactly. I'm not looking to sacrifice my team.
Exactly.
I'm not in this league, but I tell you what, I'm looking forward to next week because all these blowout wins, these teams are going to match up next week, and it should be a pretty interesting week to watch.
I'm
not
going
in the
after
league,
Greg. That's the team I'm
not looking forward to playing Sam.
That'll be
fun.
All of
now
those
that he
will
has
be.
Brady back. I mean, you never know.
All those will be intense matchups. But that does it for fantasy football here on SportsBar, and that's all the time we have this week. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow App TV on Twitter and Instagram, and like us on Facebook to find updates about new episodes and shows. We'll see you here next week at the same time for a new edition of SportsBar. I'm Travis Stanley, and for all of us here, good night.